Welcome to PMP Study Hall. Before we begin today's lesson, it is important to understand two key terms. For context of understanding, the buyer refers to the organization that is hiring and paying for the work. Typically, your company or client, if you are the project manager. The seller refers to the contractor, vendor, or supplier who will perform the work. It is also important to note that all contract types are considered tools and techniques in the PMBOK guide. Understanding these distinctions will help you clearly grasp the risk implications and when to utilize each contract type. There are three primary categories of contracts in project management: fixed price contracts, cost reimbursable contracts, and time and materials contracts. Let us begin with fixed price contracts. In these contracts, the seller agrees to deliver the entire scope of work for one predetermined fixed price. The buyer knows exactly how much they will pay from the beginning. Some main types of fixed price contracts include firm fixed price contracts, or FFP. The price is completely fixed and will not change. Risk is primarily carried by the seller, best used when the project scope is very well defined and unlikely to change. Fixed price incentive fee contracts, or FPIF, the price is mostly fixed, but includes incentives for strong performance. Risk is primarily carried by the seller, best used when the buyer wants to motivate the seller to finish early or under budget. Fixed price with economic price adjustment contracts, or FPEPA. The price is fixed, but allows adjustments based on economic conditions such as inflation or material price changes. Risk is primarily carried by the seller. Forward contract, used specifically to lock in the price of materials early. Risk is primarily carried by the seller. Key distinction: forward contract versus fixed price with economic price adjustment contracts. The difference between a forward contract and fixed price with economic price adjustment contract are: a forward contract locks in the price of specific materials, example, steel or lumber, for future delivery. It protects against big swings in raw material costs. Fixed price with economic price adjustment contracts, or FPEPA, allows the overall contract price to be adjusted based on general economic changes like inflation. For example, in forward contract, you say, "I'm buying 10 tons of steel from you at $800 per ton, delivered in 6 months, no matter what the market price is then." This contract is very specific to materials. And in a fixed price with economic price adjustment contract, you would say, "I'll pay you a fixed price for the whole project. But if inflation or material prices go up by more than 5%, we can adjust the total contract price." It has a broader protection for the entire job. Bottom line, use a forward contract when you want to protect against specific material price increases. Use a fixed price with economic price adjustment contract when you want broader protection against overall economic changes. Next, we have cost reimbursable contracts. These types of contracts are best used for projects with expected significant scope changes because they provide flexibility when the full scope is uncertain or likely to evolve. Note, the word cost here means the buyer agrees to pay whatever the actual costs end up being during the project. The final price is not known at the beginning. The main types of cost reimbursable contracts include cost plus fixed fee contract, or CPFF. The buyer pays all actual costs plus a fixed fee that does not change. Risk is primarily carried by the buyer, best used when the scope is uncertain or likely to change and the seller needs a guaranteed fee. Cost plus incentive fee contract, or CPIF. The buyer pays all actual costs plus an incentive fee based on performance. Risk is shared between buyer and seller, Best used when the buyer wants to motivate the seller to control costs and meet performance goals. Cost plus award fee contract, or CPAF. The buyer pays all actual costs plus an award fee based on the buyer's subjective evaluation of the seller's performance. Risk is primarily carried by the buyer, best used when performance is hard to measure objectively. Key distinction in fixed price versus cost reimbursable contract types. In fixed price contracts, the final price is known upfront. In cost reimbursable contracts, the final price is unknown at the start. Finally, we have time and materials, T&M contracts. In this approach, the buyer pays for the actual time spent, hours, plus the cost of materials. This is the most flexible type, but carries the highest risk for the buyer. It is best used for short-term or undefined work. All right, everyone, let's wrap this up. Pause the video for a moment and take a good look at the comparison table on screen. It shows all the contract types we discussed side by side with their key differences. This concludes today's lesson on contract types in PMP. To all my fellow project management professionals, keep sharpening your skills, and you'll become a stronger, more confident project leader. And if you're currently studying for the PMP exam, keep grinding through these concepts. Every definition and comparison you master now will give you greater confidence and clarity on exam day. As you continue your professional journey, remember this: the more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. See you next lesson.